Oh yeah. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Yo, yo, yo. Peace and richest blessings. Welcome to the Burnell Washburn podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, investing in your mindset and your well-being. Got a beautiful episode in store for you today. Sending you all my love, all my good vibes. Yes, Lord. Today we're going to talk about productivity, because that's one of the most common things that people ask me about. Just like, bro, how are you so productive? How are you getting so much done? Or people, compliment me on like my creative output. Like you're putting out so much stuff and you're just constantly creative and constantly inspiring. And I've been blowing my own mind over the last couple years, especially the last year or so. I've been blowing my own mind with how much I'm able to get done while still having an abundance of free time and flexibility in my life. So I want to share my best productivity hacks and tricks and tips and mindsets and things that will help you become more productive and just unleash more creative output in your life. Because we're all working with the same 24 hours in a day. I might even be working with less than a lot of y'all because I sleep quite a bit. I sleep like 9, 10 hours a lot because I've been healing a lot of trauma and been doing a lot of spiritual growth. And I feel like I just go hard from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. I don't really sit down and rest a lot during the day, so I end up sleeping a little bit longer than the average person. It always blows my mind when people are like, yeah, I only sleep like 6 hours or 4 hours. I'm like, how do you function? But we all have different needs and stuff, and I'm just like really connected with myself, and my need at this stage of my life is just a little longer amount of sleep. But that's actually my first tip, is prioritizing sleep, making sure you get enough sleep, and really it's not about the amount of sleep, it's about the quality of your sleep. So I do certain things. I prioritize making sure I get good quality sleep. No electronics in my bedroom. There's no TV in there. There's no internet. There's no anything in there that's electronic or producing all these crazy, foreign, unhealthy frequencies. Light is, if you can master the lighting, you will sleep so much better. So a few things that I do to help myself sleep better is, number one, when I wake up in the morning, within 10, 15 minutes of waking up, I go outside and I get sunshine on my skin. This is so important. I'm also out there doing my like barefoot grounding and my qigong and just getting my energy right and just connecting with this planet first thing in the morning. But the importance of getting sunlight, especially if you can do it as the sun's rising and actually do some sun gazing, that has even more profound benefits for your vision and different things. But it resets your circadian rhythm. Our bodies are designed to actually wake up with the sun and go to sleep, pretty close to after the sun goes down. So, and a lot of us we're out late at night. If you're outside of your house and you're I used to go to a lot of late night concerts, and I don't really do that as much anymore because, and a part of the reason is because there's so much artificial lighting being blasted at, like, you're getting strobe lights and, 80 different spectrums of unnatural, artificial light blasted at you until 1, 2 in the morning. That's going to fuck up your sleep. So I prioritize getting good sleep. I turn my phone off. I do some reading. I'm not perfect at that, but because I do like to listen to podcasts or something. But if I am listening to a podcast late at night, I will put my phone in the other room. And then when I'm kind of starting to doze off, all I have to do is turn off my Bluetooth headphones and, everything's good. But trying to really, really push the message of like not being on your phone for the first few hours of the day and the last like hour or two before you go to bed, because our phones produce so much unnatural light. Even if you put on night shift, even if you put on these, blue blocker glasses and stuff, all that stuff can help for sure. But something about staring at a screen, and there's a lot of science on this, it just fucks up our melatonin production, and it messes up our whole circadian rhythm, and it's just our bodies did not evolve to be staring at artificial light. Like, we've only had like artificial light for a very short time in terms of human evolution. Like, we were, around for thousands or hundreds of thousands of years without any of this type of lighting, and then just candlelight, and it's only within the last couple hundred years that we've started to develop artificial light, and then now we have all these devices shining this light red on our face like late at night as we're falling asleep. So we got to get rid of those habits and cultivate a high vibrational evening, nighttime wind down routine. So for me lately, my nightly routine it's been pretty simple. As I start getting tired, I kind of tidy up my house a little bit, might pick out my clothes for tomorrow, maybe set a few intentions, take a few minutes to think about what I've got going on tomorrow, take a few minutes to really appreciate everything that I did in this day, just feeling grateful, feeling like trying to give myself a little bit of a pat on the back for anything that I did do well. And sometimes I like to revisualize my day as like, if certain things didn't go as well as they could have, I'll revisualize it going how I would have liked it, so I can kind of reprogram my subconscious a little bit. And then I make myself a nice little cup of tea, and I pull out a book and I do some light reading, and starting to implement a little nighttime meditation practice right before bed, so I can get into a nice stillness of mind, a nice little quiet space before bed, and then maybe do a little hypnosis session to help reprogram my subconscious mind and go to sleep, And if I am consuming any content late night before bed, I'm trying to make sure that it's high vibrational content, like not watching scary movies or violent movies. And, a lot of people are just falling asleep watching garbage on television or garbage on Netflix. That's, I said this many times, the time that where your subconscious mind is the most moldable is right before bed, right as you're kind of drifting into a sleep, and then right when you wake up when you're still kind of half asleep. So those are the two most important times of the day to reprogram our subconscious mind, which is controlling at least 90% of the show. We could think positive, we could do all this conscious self-development work, but if our subconscious mind isn't on board, none of that's going to be that effective. So got to get our sleep on point. And one thing I know, like some people take like melatonin and stuff, which is exogenous melatonin is one of the worst things that you can do, because it prevents your body from being able to actually produce it naturally. So don't take any artificial or exogenous sleep aids. Any type of medication or even vitamins or supplements that are supposed to help you sleep are usually not good for you, because it's kind of like if you use chapstick a lot, your lips kind of start drying out so much faster, and you become dependent on chapstick, and you have to keep applying it, versus like if you just stay hydrated, you don't really need chapstick that much. So you can naturally increase your melatonin production through certain foods that you eat, through sunlight, through being out in nature, through different sound healing frequencies. So prioritize your sleep. That's so important. Another thing that really helps me be productive is, I kind of mentioned this, but setting intentions for the next day the night before. A good high vibrational morning routine actually starts the night before. So I'm thinking about what do I got to do tomorrow? What are my opportunities tomorrow? What are some things that I really want to get done? And I kind of just set, sometimes I like to write it down. Sometimes I don't like to be as rigid, and I just like to, in my head, kind of think about it for a minute. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to do this, this, and that, and then I'll probably go on a hike. I'll probably cruise over and do this. I'll probably, try to get that done, and they're not like super strict. They're just things that I'd like to get done. So I set a lot of intentions. Just real quick, I made a few notes as I was brainstorming about this episode, so I want to just go over some of the things on that list. One of the things was prioritizing sleep, so I just mentioned that. Meditation, Very important for productivity. Slowing down, doing things slow and steady. Sometimes doing things slow is actually fast because you don't mess it up. When you're in a hurry, like today, I was just like, I was kind of in a hurry for no reason, doing my little morning routine, and I think I was just excited. So I was doing everything fast, and then I ended up spilling my coffee and my tea everywhere, and that ended up taking me longer. So sometimes when you're trying to rush or hurry, you end up taking longer because you mess up or you break something or spill something or do something wrong and have to redo it. So slow and steady is actually fast. Another thing on my little list, which we'll talk about in a second, is microdosing, plant medicine, nootropics. Those are some things that help my productivity. And another thing that's huge is I practice laser focusing on one thing at a time. There's been a lot of studies done that people spend 2.1 hours a day being distracted, switching between tasks. So there's been some studies showing if you laser focus on something for 45 minutes and then you take a 15-minute break and then you do another 45-minute block and then you do that and you do one thing at a time. You don't start one thing and then it's like if I were to start recording this podcast, do like 10 minutes and then stop and start cleaning my house and get 30 minutes into that and then go back to recording the podcast and then be like, oh, I'm going to record a song right now and then go to record. I would be way, 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 way less productive because every time I switch from different task to task, I get so distracted and it takes like an average of like 15 to 20 minutes to get refocused on a new task. Like if I switch from podcasting to house cleaning, it's a slightly different brainwave state. So you got to practice laser focus. And these are habits. These are muscles that we build up. These are not things that we're born with. They're like, some people are like, oh, I just have ADD. I can't focus. It's like, it's like I use this analogy a lot. You don't go into the gym and bench press 800 pounds your first time walking into a gym. If you've never done push-ups before, you don't just do 300 push-ups in a sitting. You might start with 3 or 4 push-ups or 10 push-ups and you build up the muscles over time. And then over time you can do longer. So you practice laser focusing for small amounts of time. Okay, for the next 5 minutes, I will not focus on anything but this one thing. And then you just do that and nothing else. And over time, you build up the habits. I say this all the time because it's so, so important. How you do one thing is how you do all things. How you do one thing is how you do all things. So this is an analogy I often use because I've just noticed this a lot in my life. For some reason, when I'm getting dressed, I'll put on my pants and then instead of putting on my socks and shirt, all of a sudden I check my phone and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to email that homie back. And then I'm like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be getting dressed right now. So then I go and I put on a sock and then I notice that I have some dirty dishes in the sink. So then I start cleaning those. And then halfway through those, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be getting dressed. So then I put on the other sock and the shirt, but then I haven't put on the belt yet. And then I start responding to somebody's text and I'm just bouncing around and getting all distracted and it's taking way longer just to get dressed and do all these other things than it would if I was just focused. So you might not think getting dressed is that important to be laser focused. But if you can laser focus just on getting dressed and say, hey, I'm doing nothing but getting dressed right now. I'm going to get dressed to the best of my abilities and do nothing else. That's something that really helps me because you're building poor habits. If I'm allowing myself to get distracted during just putting my clothes on, I'm allowing myself to get distracted in other things that are more important. So how you do one thing is how you do all things. We can't compartmentalize different areas of our life. It's all holistic. And I'm just kind of going through my brainstorming list. You got to get to know yourself. Self-awareness is key for productivity. Like for me, I know when I'm going to be more productive and when I'm not. And I know that the mornings are, after I've had a cup of coffee and done my workout, that's the time I'm just going to crush. I'm just in a higher state to do all these things. And versus I know late at night when I'm starting to get a little tired, I'm not going to be as productive. So I don't try to be. That's my time where I can chill and maybe listen to podcasts and read books and do some things that don't require me to be as on point. Cause I know I'm just not going to be as effective during those times of day. So that's a self-awareness thing. I prioritize my self-care, taking good care of myself, getting myself into the right state. That's why I go out in nature every day. That's why I meditate. That's why I work out. That's why I eat healthy, high vibrational foods. These are all important for me to boost my self-care and fill myself up. So then when it's time to be productive and get work done, I'm not in scarcity and lack. I'm just like overflowing in abundance of health and wellness and inspiration. Another thing on my list is like different foods and supplements that increase brain power and increase productivity. Like, for example, I'm drinking lion's mane tea, lion's mane mushroom right now. And, so good. Shout out to Paradise Farms hooking me up. Shout out to Rasa. It's one of the sponsors on the podcast. I'll mention them a little later in the episode. Sometimes microdosing a little psilocybin, so you can be insanely productive if you use that properly. And I'm not advocating doing anything that's illegal or anything that's unhealthy for people with different mental health issues and things like that. So these are all just things that have helped me. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a therapist or a psychologist. So just take everything I say with a grain of salt. Another thing on my little list is binaural beats and isochronic tones. These are different sound healing frequencies that can help you access different brainwave states. So usually an alpha state is going to be your most productive state. And you can go on YouTube and search binaural beats for productivity or binaural beats for focus or isochronic tones focus. And you listen to these in headphones for like 20, 30 minutes or just kind of on a low volume while you're working or right before you're working, and it'll just turn the parts of your brain on where you can just laser focus and just get so much stuff on. You get into a flow state where time just kind of disappears and you're just in the zone. You're just in the pocket. You're nailing it. You're just laser focused, no distractions. Another huge thing is, you guys probably know if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, my phone has been on Do Not Disturb for like 3 years. Do Not Disturb mode is my best friend. I do not have notifications. I don't have social media. I don't get, if someone texts me, I have to go look at it. It's not like a little ding that in the middle of a podcast it goes off and I'm like, oh, who texted me? I can't believe anyone has notifications on. It blows my mind. You just want you want the whole world to distract you every time you get an email or a comment, and half those emails are not important. It's some company trying to sell you some dumb shit you don't need. You know what I mean? Or it's, text messages and emails. One of my mentors say it, inbox equals other people's agendas. Everything that everyone else wants to text me and hit me up, that's all other people's agendas of how they want me to be and what they want me to do. And obviously I have different clients and families and people that I love and cherish and want to be responsible and accountable to. But it's my life. I don't let notifications come and distract me. I would never get anything done. How could I meditate or record songs or record podcasts? Like, especially the more moving and shaking you get, and the more popular you get, and the more people it's like if I didn't have Do Not Disturb on, my phone would just be ringing every 10 minutes, and people would be trying to get a hold of me for all these different things, and a lot of random people just want to pick my brain and want to meet up with me, but it's like, I've already got priorities and things that I'm trying to get done and commitments that I've made to myself that are my priorities. So I'm not just going to let every text message and Facebook like and little IG message and stuff distract me. I'm going to go check those on my time and reply to them when I'm in the right state to go check those. I don't need them interrupting me 24/7. So if you haven't already done so, put your shit on Do Not Disturb. Turn off notifications. I often delete all the social media apps off my phone. So then I have to re-download Instagram if I want to go check Instagram. It's not just, and I don't have my phone in my hand unless I have an intention. I ask myself, what's the intention for using your device right now? Are you just grabbing it out of habit and scrolling through? And I talk about a lot of this on my social media episode. I think it's called, I can't remember what number episode it is, but it's called like building a healthier relationship with social media and technology, and it's a really good episode. But yeah, you can't just let all these if you're just allowing all these distractions, you're disrespecting yourself, and you're discounting all the work that you could be doing in the world and all the beautiful things. Like, people wonder why I'm so productive, and I tell them it's because I don't have my phone distracting me all the time. But then they don't listen, and they keep their phone. They think, oh, what if I miss a notification? Or what if someone likes my Facebook status and I don't notice it right away? What if someone sends me a DM and I don't reply? And then it's like, you don't have to reply to everyone. You don't owe the world, your attention 24/7. And you can find time to reply to them on your schedule. Just because someone texts you or message you doesn't mean you're obligated to reply at all or right away. And, take care of your mental health first. I'm going through all these little kind of quick, and then we're going to do a deep dive on a few of them. You got to set your environment up for productivity. So for me, it's pretty easy. I live by myself purposely because I used to get distracted by homies and roommates and, things like that. So I decided I want to live by myself. It's just me and my daughter here. And, when she's here, I can't really, she's 5, so she's going to interrupt and distract me. And that's just kind of how it goes. But I get almost all my work done when she's not here. So then when she is here, I can be fully present with her. And if I do need to laser focus on something, I just communicate that with her. Hey, Ollie, Daddy needs to laser focus on this thing right now. I need to really get this work done so then we can go play later. Would you mind coloring or doing this for a little bit while I handle this? And, we have to talk about it. And she's 5, so she's not going to be perfect at it. And I don't expect her to be, but I set my environment up to be conducive for productivity. And sometimes that even means going to a library or a coffee shop. Libraries and coffee shops are amazing for productivity because it's like one of the few places where you can pull out your laptop and your headphones and no one's going to say a word to you. You can just walk into a coffee shop with headphones on or a library with headphones on, pull out your laptop and just laser focus. There's going to be a bunch of other people doing the same thing. And it's going to be a quiet environment where it just feels like a productive, safe place to work, and no one's going to come try to, distract you. So you got to set your environment up. Let people know. If you have roommates or family members, let them know when your work hours are. That's why you see a lot of music studios will have, the red light outside, saying that, we're recording right now. If this light is on, we're in a session, so don't come in here. Don't knock on the door. Don't, I used to tell people, when I did have roommates, and I would tell them I was meditating or whatever, and I would go into the bathroom, and a lot of times that was my only time I could get some full personal space, you know what I mean? Just light a candle, fill up the bath, and just shut the door and lock the door and tell people, hey, anyone need to use the bathroom? Because I'm going to be in there for the next 45 minutes. I'm going to be in there for a while meditating. And people know not to knock on the door or try to bother me or whatever because I'm in my meditation. So love yourself enough and love the work that you're doing enough and value the work that you're doing enough to set your environment up for productivity and to be free from distractions and let people know what's up. Ooh, it's 11:11 right now. Peace and blessings. Another thing that really helps my productivity is I write my intentions down. A lot. So usually after I kind of get done with my morning routine, I'll write down my intention. And it's better when I do it the night before, but if I forget to do it the night before, then I'll kind of do it towards the end of my morning routine where I'll write down, here's all the things that feel important today. And it's not a to-do list. It's more of intentions yesterday I wrote a list that was titled Fun Opportunities That I Get to Seize, rather than to-do list. I don't know, to-do list just feels to me like a little bit more constrictive and like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's freedom. But when I write fun opportunities that I get to see, it's like, all right, these are things that are, I'm writing these intentions down because they're things that I want. They're going to make my life better. They're not everything else the whole world wants from me. It's like, these are things that, and when I frame it that way, I'm like realizing, okay, I want to get these things. It's not like all this shit that I have to do and this sucks that I have to do it. It's like, these are things I get to do. So I write down my intentions, and then I prioritize my intentions. Sometimes I'll ask myself, like, okay, out of all these things, if I could only get one thing on this list done today, which would be the thing that I would feel best about? If I was going to bed tonight and I only got one of these things checked off, what would move the needle? What would move my life forward the most, and what would I be the most proud of and the most fulfilled if I only could do, if some crazy shit happened and I only had time and space to do one of these things, what would be the most important? Or what would make the rest of this stuff easier? Or what would make the rest of this stuff, or, sometimes we often prioritize the wrong thing. We have all these things that we want to do, or things that people want from us, and things that feel like they're overwhelming, and things that, put pressure on us. But we're like, is that really where we're trying to go? We have to question ourselves and say, is that really that important? Or would this other thing be more important? And that other thing can wait. That other thing can get done, whenever it gets done. That thing can get done in the next few weeks. But this other thing, like, kind of needs to get done today or tomorrow. Like, it's a lot more important. So, like, I think I mentioned this before in another episode, but I was listening to a podcast one time that gave me, like, a total aha moment, where he said, like, he noticed this pattern of, is the Luke Story the Lifestylist podcast with Luke Story. It's an amazing podcast. And he said, like, he'll be prioritizing the wrong things, like, because fear will show up. So he'll get an email from someone that wants to partner and do this big event and awesome opportunity that's like totally exciting to his soul. That's like really what he wants to do. And it's really going to cause him to show up as his higher self and like play bigger. But instead of emailing that guy back, he's like, oh, I got to make sure I water my plants. And like, yeah, watering your plants is important. You got to keep those alive. But like, if he's making that a bigger priority than like emailing this dude back who has a big opportunity for him, then it's like he has to question himself and be like, oh, am I avoiding the real needle movers because I'm scared? And I noticed myself doing that same thing the other day. I got this big high-level influencer and speaker that wants to collab on some events, and he told me to send him some things via email. And I would write down these kind of intentions or like get-to-do lists, and that would be on the list of emailing him back. But I would be like, oh, I better go fill up my water jug, and oh, I need to clean my house, as if like cleaning up my house or filling up my water jug is more important than emailing him back. When emailing him back, a lot of times when we're procrastinating on something, it's because we're scared. I was scared to face rejection. What if I email him and he doesn't like what I send and he doesn't end up wanting to work with me? So it's easier for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to clean my house and fill up my water jug, because those are things that I can control the outcome on. Versus like the email, I can't control whether he ends up wanting to work with me. All I can do is send him the best email I can, but I'm avoiding doing that because I'm scared of not doing it well enough or not doing it right, or scared of what the outcome might be. So I'm procrastinating on it based on fear. So if you're procrastinating on something, dive a little deeper into that and ask yourself why you're putting that off. And it's probably because you're scared on some level. We're all scared of facing rejection. We're all scared of failure. So a lot of times we'll avoid doing the most important things in our lives just because we're a little bit scared that if we do try that, maybe we spend a lot of energy towards it and it doesn't work out, and then we'll have to feel these unpleasant emotions. But let's just face those unpleasant emotions head on. Let's just face our fears. Let's face, let's send those emails. Let's make those phone calls. Let's do the big needle moving things, even if they don't work out. And let's just be willing to go and face that possible rejection. Another thing on my brainstorm list, I kind of already mentioned this, but it's like, if you could only do one thing on this list, what would it be? And then that kind of ties into this book I read called Eat That Frog. I'm pretty sure it's by Brian Tracy. He's like an old school self-development. I resonate with a lot of his stuff, but also I think the whole spiritual awakening and new wave paradigm is shifting to where a lot of these old school self-development cats aren't resonating with us quite as much as they used to, but they still have some beautiful wisdom. And in this book called Eat That Frog, it's basically like all about doing the hardest, most strenuous, least desirable thing on your list first. So if you have 10 items on your to-do list, and one of them is going to probably take the most time and energy, one of them is going to be the hardest thing, and it's going to be it's the thing you want to do the least, but it's important, and you've decided that you really do want to get this thing done, but it's kind of daunting and intimidating or whatever. If you do that thing first, just face it head on. Like right when you get amped up after your workout and your coffee or whatever, like look at that list and I'm going to do this hardest thing first, and then the next hardest, and then it's so profound, because if you get the hardest thing done first, you get this huge rush of momentum where you feel like, okay, now everything else on my list is actually easier. I already did the hardest thing. That's part of the reason why I take ice baths and shit first thing in the morning, and I do hard things that are unpleasant, that are scary, that I know are, they're going to be a little difficult, or I'm going to want to procrastinate. I do them just first thing. Like this morning, I woke up and within 10 minutes I was in an ice bath. Just the coldest ice bath imaginable, It's November in Utah. Like our pipes get pretty freezing. And it gives me this momentum where like I just ate that frog. I did like one of the hardest things, like at least for my physical health and it's mental and spiritual health too, but like one of the things that I easily could have avoided or put off, I just got that out of the way. And now I feel like a badass. Now I feel like, all right, doing my other stuff is easy now, because I just faced that hard challenge right off the bat. I'm a G. I'm a boss. Let's go. So when you do the hardest thing first, or the thing that you're most scared of first, and you get that out of the way, it feels like all the other things, all the other stuff's easier. And then you have this mental strength and fortitude that builds up, rather than if you put the hardest thing off till last. It makes all the easier things harder, because in the back of your mind, you're worried about this hard thing that you got to do after this. Like if let's say you got to do a bunch of yard work and it's going to take hours and it's going to be pretty hard. And then, after that, you got to fold some laundry or something, and you're kind of like, you don't mind folding laundry at all. It's not that big of a deal to you. If you do the yard work first, you'll feel like, laundry's no problem. You won't even think about it. You'll just like fold it real quick in 2 minutes, and it's not even a big deal at all, because you just did like this 2 hours worth of gnarly yard work. Versus if you do the laundry first, you're going to take longer doing the laundry, because you're putting that off. You're like, I got to do that yard work. So you're going to actually drag the laundry on. And there's a thing called Parkinson's Law. I think it's Parkinson's Law. Might just be saying some random ass shit, but no, I'm pretty sure it's Parkinson's Law. But it's like the time it takes to perform a task expands to the time allotted. And there's been a lot of studies. So they'll take the same task and they'll give the same task to different groups of people, and they'll tell one group, all right, it's probably going to take you about an hour. And then, group A they all get it done in less than an hour, or roughly an hour. Then the same exact task, let's say it's like organizing some cabinets or something, and they'll tell task B, they'll tell group B, all right, this task is going to take about 2 hours, and it all takes them all 2 hours. It's the same cabinet, same type of level of people, but it takes one group longer just because they thought it was going to take longer, or because they had more time to do it. So if you give yourself a little window, sometimes when I'm making intention lists, I kind of give like a little brainstorm on how long each task might take. And it's usually up to me to decide. If I decide something's going to take 15 minutes, I'll just laser focus and knock it out in 15 minutes, versus if I think it's going to take an hour, it's probably going to end up taking me an hour because I won't be as focused and I'll just drag it on. So Parkinson's law is very real. And, that's why I give myself like a smaller window of availability to work. So for me, I typically do anything that I would consider work, even though it's like my work and play is kind of all like molded together. But if I consider it work, like maybe it's a graphic design for a client, or like I do social media marketing for a couple companies, and if it's like I gotta go make the posts on their pages and shit like that, and so those are things I consider work. I have boundaries of when I do that and when I don't do that. So typically it's from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Before 11 a.m., I'm just doing nothing but spiritual inner work and physical work on my body and my mindset, getting myself into the right state, doing my morning routine, whatever. Then after 8 p.m., I'm done. I'm done working. If a client needs something or wants, even if a client texts me or whatever, most of my clients know that if they text me after 8 p.m., they're not getting a reply until after 11 a.m. the next day. Even if I have my phone in my hand and I see that, I just had to develop some boundaries. So building healthy boundaries can massively help your productivity too. So I had to implement this so I didn't burn out. I kept burning out because I would try to just like go from the second I woke up to the second I went to bed every day. Trying to just maximize my productivity. But it's like, all right, cool, it's 8 p.m. Even if I'm in the middle of some stuff, let me wrap this up and call it a day. I'll come back to this refreshed and recharged tomorrow, but I'm going to spend this next couple hours before bed like reading, meditating, journaling, listening to podcasts, maybe watch a movie, do whatever feels right to like keep my sanity and keep my mental health on point, in check. So developing these boundaries is healthy, but it also gives me, it helps me laser focus when I am working. Because when I am working, I'm like, all right, I'm in work mode right now. I'm just going to like get this done because I only have, it's like maybe it's 6 o'clock p.m. and I'm like, it's going to be 8 soon. I only got 2 more hours to work. So let me just get as much done as I can. And then after that, I'll get to enjoy a movie. And I talk about the reward system. Like little kids love rewards. You can easily get little kids to perform certain tasks or to be good or to do their chores or whatever by offering them a reward. If, say, my daughter, like just yesterday, my daughter wanted to paint. She like, let's go upstairs and paint. And she really wanted to she started pulling out her paints and stuff, but we were already playing Legos. And in order to get her to clean up her Legos, I was like, yeah, we can totally paint once you clean up these Legos. And at first I was trying to get her to clean up the Legos and she wasn't doing it. But then when she wanted something else, like she wanted to paint, all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, we can totally go paint. As soon as those Legos are cleaned up, it's painting time. And then boom, she just starts cleaning up the Legos real quick. And we're all like little children, you know what I mean? So I give myself different rewards. I've talked about this on the podcast. Let's say I want to watch a movie and I'm really excited to go watch a movie. I'll just tell myself, as soon as you get such and such done, then you can watch that movie. Or, I've used things like cannabis or maybe my nightly tea or a healthy snack, maybe a little piece of dark chocolate or something like that. I'll use those as leverage for myself to get things done. And I even use sometimes I even use meditation as like a little, because I enjoy meditation so much. So for me, like, normally would have meditated before this podcast, but I decided I really want to get a podcast out because time slipped away from me this week and I didn't get an episode out on Tuesday and it's Friday now. So, and I just I didn't have full clarity on what the episode was going to be and what I really wanted to talk about. And so I needed to do some more inner work and some soul searching and just live life for a few more days before I recorded a podcast. But today I knew what the podcast was going to be about and I was excited to record an episode. I was also excited to meditate, but I leveraged the meditation to help me get this podcast done. I said, okay, Just pull out your mic, record a podcast, and as soon as you're done, you can go hop in that meditation bath and soak in a nice hot bath with some bath salts, and you'll feel really good. You'll be able to get a deep, beautiful meditation in because you won't be worried about, okay, I gotta hurry and get done with this meditation so I can go record that podcast. Instead, I'll be like, I feel good. I just got that podcast done. I'm providing value to people. Now I don't feel guilty for meditating, and which you should never feel guilty for meditating. Take as much damn time as you need, regardless of what you got done. But, I know myself well enough to know that I might get into a deeper state of meditation knowing that I already got a podcast episode done because I'll feel like I'm productive. And if I did the meditation first, then I would maybe feel like, oh, I better hurry up and get this meditation done because I still got to go record that podcast. And, granted, the podcast might be even better if I got even more clarity and stillness in my mind, but I already kind of knew what I wanted to talk about, so worked out great this way. But my point is I'm leveraging different rewards to help me be more productive. So if there's certain things that you like and then certain things that you maybe don't like, do the hard things first and then enjoy the things you do like after. It's more fun, like I don't really drink alcohol, but I've used this analogy before where a cold sudsy beer is so much more enjoyable after a long day of hard work than it is if you just wake up first thing in the morning and say, fuck it, I'm just going straight to the beer, Maybe if you're on vacation or something, like, give yourself that permission. But, like, if you're really a go-getter and, like, maybe a type A personality high achiever like me, which might be toxic, which we can talk about on a whole nother episode, I think is a beautiful side of it. But the shadow side of it is, like, a lot of us high achievers are trying to use achievement as like a mask for our pain and help us feel more self-worth and whatever. But that's a whole different episode. So for me, I just want to make an impact in the world. I want to get a lot of stuff done. I'm inspired as fuck, dude. Like there's just so many things I want to do in this beautiful lifetime and on this gorgeous planet. There's just so much that I enjoy. So I want to seize the day. And I sometimes just have to reward myself with little different treats, if you will, to help me get stuff done. But seriously, eating that frog, the phrase comes from, like, it's a weird old phrase, but they used to say, like, if you woke up and the first thing you had to do was eat like a big disgusting frog, which I don't know, I feel like people consider frogs a delicacy. I don't eat animals, but back in the day, it was just kind of like if you had to eat this big gross frog in the morning, like first thing, that would be like the nastiest thing you had to do all day. So everything else would seem like pretty pleasant after that, rather than like going your whole day dreading, okay, I got to eat that frog. And no matter all the other tasks you're doing, you got in the back of your mind, you got this thing that you're dreading. So that's a profound thing. Being more intentional, taking more time out for self-love. Like I said, like Russell Simmons says, if you don't have 30 minutes to meditate, then you need 3 hours. And the more time I take to meditate and get clarity, the more I get done. So I've been blowing my own mind, and people have been constantly asking me how I'm so productive, because I'm putting out, one to two podcast episodes a week. I'm putting out multiple YouTube videos and IG videos like damn near every day. I'm putting out, 5-6 new beats a week often. I'm writing several songs per week. I'm making tons of inspiring, uplifting posts. I'm doing graphic design. I'm managing social media for different companies. I'm handling like 6 or 7 coaching clients. I'm growing my business. I'm working out and exercising almost every day. I spend a couple hours a day going on hikes in nature. I spend tons and tons of time just playing with my daughter, picking her up from school, playing Legos, making art, roughhousing and being goofy with her. I'm keeping my house clean and organized. I'm doing my laundry. I'm taking time to connect with all my loved ones and make them a priority and go to family events and gatherings, which I used to think I was too busy for. Making time to just, like just last night or the night before last, I just went out to dinner with my homie, even though I was feeling like it was a busy day. I was like, it's a priority to make time for my loved ones, and I still get all this stuff done. And I'm creating live events and workshops and retreats and masterminds, and I've got my hands in a lot of different things. And I might sound like I'm bragging right now, but I'm not bragging. I'm proud of myself, and I'm kind of blown away on how much I'm able to get done nowadays. I have so much more clarity and focus, so when I do work, I just laser focus on one thing at a time, and I just crush through it, and I get it done. Like, and the longer you do things, the more effective you are. So I can get certain things done faster now, like uploading my beats. Uploading a beat is like 20 different steps. So I have to export the beat. I have to export the stems, which is the separated parts of the beat. I have to upload that to Google Drive. Then I have to upload it to my website, to my beat store. Then I have to link the Google Drive folder to the beat store so it automatically sends the files to people when they purchase the beats. Then I have to make visuals. I have to go to this one website to make visuals for the YouTube video and the IG video. And then I have to pull that into iMovie, export that out of iMovie or Premiere or whatever. And then I have to upload that to Facebook. Then I have to send that to my phone and upload it to Instagram and IGTV. Then I have to upload it to YouTube. And then I have to write descriptions and captions and tags for every single one of those platforms. Then I have to make a post about like new beat and I have to think of some ad copy for the beat. Like usually it's just one sentence like new slapper available or whatever, like something pretty simple. Then I have to make a thumbnail for the YouTube image. And then maybe I'll email it out to my list. And I can't even think of all the steps right now, but that's one example of just for me to upload a beat. That's like 15, 20 different steps that I just outlined, and they all take time. But since I've been uploading beats regularly multiple times a week for several years now, I've just gotten faster and faster and faster in that, and I've implemented different systems to aid me with that. So I noticed like the YouTube descriptions, like rather than typing in a YouTube description and taking 30 minutes, 40 minutes to come up with a description every single time I upload a video, which is damn near every day, because I'm uploading beat videos and like little inspirational, heartfelt rants and like affirmations and guided meditations and stuff like that. So I have the descriptions in like a notes tab on my laptop, and all I have to do is copy and paste it, and then I change like a few words to be about that beat or whatever. But things that I'm doing repetitively, I put strategies and systems in place so I don't have to keep redoing the same thing over and over and over again. A while back I noticed, all right, I'm spending all this time designing thumbnails, and it takes a while to open up Photoshop and make the thumbnail and then export it and then upload it. So one day I said, I'm gonna batch. I do things in batches. So all right, one day I spent time and I'm like, I'm gonna make thumbnails for my next like 80 YouTube videos. So I just made a bunch of YouTube videos that had a bunch of thumbnails, and I designed them all. So instead of switching from graphic design back to beats, back to graphic design, back to answering email, back to cleaning my house, back to being with my daughter, it's like, all right, I'm in graphic design mode now. I'm just going to knock out all these designs. So then for the rest of the next 80 videos, I can just upload these. I don't have to go and design them. So like if you're doing certain things like that, you can do batch processing. And doing things in batches helps you from switching from task to task. Like I mentioned earlier, we lose an average of 20 minutes of focus every time we switch from one task to a different task. So staying like, if I'm in music mode, let's stay in music mode and get everything that done before I go into graphic design mode. Or if I'm in graphic design mode, let's stay in that mode before I go back over into coaching mode. And just really get stuff done in different batches. So, and developing different systems in place. Like, for example, I noticed every other day or every day pretty much, someone asks me for the link to my podcast, or they ask me for a link to my beat store. So they're asking me for different links. And it's like every single person that would ask me, I'd have to go to my YouTube channel. I'd have to find the affirmations they were asking for, or I'd have to find the link and then copy and paste it and send that to each a person individually. And it would take me 5 or 10 minutes to grab the link and send it to them every time. But now I realize, okay, I'm repetitively doing the same task all the time. What if I just made it easier on myself? So I made a little notes tab on my phone that said, it's called frequently requested links. And I put all the links that people constantly ask me for to my website, my beat store, information about my coaching, different things like that people are often asking for. And it's all in one place. So anytime someone asks me for any link, I just open up my frequently asked links. It takes me 2 seconds, copy and paste the link, send it to them. Boom. I don't have to go to 18 different places. It's all in one page now. And I've started learning that as I, studied a lot of online business and digital entrepreneurs. They have, and I realized okay, if you're delegating things out to a team, you need to put processes in place so your team knows where to go. I can say, okay, anytime a client hits us up needing this, you open up this one Google Drive folder and it's all in there, and you can just send them that, and you don't have to hit me up and ask me where you can find this and da-da-da. It's not this big deal. And that kind of reminds me of another thing is that can really help your productivity, and this is probably one of the most important parts of this episode, so definitely listen when I say this, is you need to ditch or delegate anything that is not your core genius. I made a list of everything, and I've done this 3 or 4 times, everything I spend time on, everything I spend money on, every person I spend time with, every podcast I listen to, every YouTube channel I'm subscribed to, etc. And I go through that list, and without spending much time consciously thinking of it, I let my body on a subconscious level feel it out really quickly, and I rate it from 1 to 10. So, for example, making YouTube videos, uploading beats, recording podcasts, uploading the podcast. Because it's not like I just upload the podcast. I have to I record the podcast, then I have to do a little tweaking on the mixing, then I have to upload it to Libsyn, which is my back-end software that distributes it across all the different platforms. And then I have to put in my tags, my metadata, my descriptions, my titles, all that kind of stuff. So there's different processes involved. And I made a list of just all these different things that I spend time on. And I started realizing if it's not a 10, and a 10 is like you know it. If you have to think very long about it, then it's not a 10. If I'm thinking, it's probably like a 6 or 7, and it's like, all right, that's not a 10. If I'm sitting there trying to decide whether it's a 10 or not, then it's not. Like, my body knows instantly if I write playing with Olivia is my daughter. If I write playing with Olivia, instant 10. Don't even think about it. My body just knows it's a 10. I don't have to justify why I like playing with her. Meditation, instant 10. I don't have to think. But then I, think about hanging out with so-and-so. I don't know, like they're cool and I've known them for years. Not a 10. Just because the fact that I'm even trying to justify or reason why I hang out with them, and I know they're not a 10. So what I need to do is I need to ditch them. I need to get them out of my life and or spend, just significantly less time with them, and just I'm eliminating all distractions and I'm getting rid of anything that's not a 10. So then it's so much easier to focus. I kind of take a minimalist approach. That's why minimalism is becoming increasingly popular, because as society grows, as we become more connected and more disconnected at the same time, but more connected with, social media and internet and technology and all these tools and devices in our hands, and we got this device in our hand that's more powerful than the computer that sent man to the moon back in '69. Like, it's crazy. So we have all this power, but so many choices just overwhelm us. And that's why minimalism is becoming more popular, because they're realizing I can be happier, healthier, and more productive with less options and less choices in my life. So I'm kind of like trimming the fat, so to speak. And when it comes to nutrition, I'm eating lots of fat, lots of healthy fat, but metaphorically trimming the fat, getting rid of all the things that are not a 10 in my life. If it's not my core genius, if I don't really love doing it, I should pay someone else to do it, or I should just disregard it and ditch it entirely and not worry about it. And the more often I do this list and get more clarity on what's a 10 or not, the easier it is for me to be productive and focused, because I'm only doing the things that really matter. I'm not spending all this energy on things that don't really matter. And that brings me to another thing, is like, we only have so much energy in a day. We have X amount of energy units. And it's kind of like, you might have a certain amount of time or a certain amount of money in your bank account or whatever like that you can work with. We have a certain amount of energy in any given day that we can work with, and that might vary based on how we're treating ourselves and how much sleep we're getting and whatever. But if we spend all this energy, all this decision energy making decisions that aren't really that important, like if I'm spending a lot of time thinking about what outfit to wear, I'm using up some of my energy currency that day that could have been used towards making a way better decision. So that's why Mark Zuckerberg and certain entrepreneurs like wear the same clothes every day. Like you've probably seen like The Social Network or whatever, that movie about Facebook, where I think Mark Zuckerberg wears like the same white tee every day or something like that. And there's different entrepreneurs that have done the same thing. And like Bill Gates does similar stuff, where like they wear the same thing every day, and they have their assistant like pick out their outfits for the week or whatever. So they don't have to, when they wake up in the morning, that's just not part of their energy. They're not using any of this energy currency deciding on what outfit to wear. So the more you can narrow down decisions, the more energy you have to make more important decisions, bigger decisions. If you decide where you're going to eat or what you're going to eat, that's why like meal prepping can have a profound, I don't really like meal prepping personally, but for some people it really works, because that's just one less decision they have to make. If they already know what they're eating that day, then they don't. And I kind of meal prep in my head a little bit, where I kind of like, I intermittent fast, so it's really like food about cooking and deciding what to eat doesn't really take up much of my energy at all. But since I'm fasting, I have quite a bit of time to think about what do I want to break my fast with, and I usually break my fast with the same thing every day, which is like this green drink with chlorella and spirulina and just all sorts of algae and amazing green superfoods and some lemon water. Like that's pretty much how I break my fast every day, and I kind of make up in my mind of like what my meal is gonna be, and so I don't have to spend that much energy contemplating of what to make or what to buy or whatever like that. I often, when I'm really on a high vibe, I'll pick out my outfits the night before. So the next day I can wake up, do my morning routine, and then I can just throw on my clothes and get to work. I don't sit there 20 minutes trying on 8 different outfits and be like, I'm not really feeling this one. I'm not in the mood. It's like, just the night before, spend a few minutes to just decide and put it out. And then the next day I free up. It's like an investment in my energy units. Now I have a little bit more decision power the next day because I just freed up some time. Wow, this episode is going a little bit longer. I thought it was going to be a super quick episode, but there's a lot to unpack, as they say. But it's so important. Like, you see high-level entrepreneurs delegating anything that's not their core genius. They focus on all the things that they're good at and things that are not a 10 and things that other people could do for them. They pay other people to do for them. So, like, if it can be done by someone else for less than like how much your time is worth, then you got to figure out how much your time is worth based on, that's a whole nother episode. Well, I'll do another episode on like how to determine your value in the marketplace and how much, you should be getting paid per hour. And so anything that you can pay someone less than that per hour to do, for example, I could make $400 in an hour if I make a really dope beat that sells exclusively, and all my beats sell, eventually. So if I can make that much money in an hour, what what on earth am I doing spending an hour doing my fucking laundry? I'm just like totally ass backwards if I'm doing that. Because someone else could do my laundry for $20. So if I do my own laundry, it's costing me $380 to do my laundry. Because I could have spent that time doing something that generated $400. You know what I'm saying? And then paid someone $20. So I lost out on $380 because I chose to spend my energy doing laundry rather than, manning up and paying someone $20 to do my laundry. Like, it's interesting how we sell ourselves short and by spending time on things that are not our core genius. Like, there's other people that could probably do my laundry a lot better than me. I guarantee if I paid someone to do my laundry, which I'm honestly going to start doing. I've talked about it a few times. I've looked into it. There's actually a service for I think it's like $30 a week or something like that. And they come to your house, pick up your laundry, and bring it back folded. And, you probably end up tipping them or whatever. So it's like, you might spend $40 a week or whatever on that. But I was like, if I spend 2 hours a week doing laundry and I could have someone do it better than for $40, like why am I doing, and I'm about to I was just talking to this girl this morning who's a virtual assistant who's going to start doing all my YouTube descriptions. Even though I told you earlier, I implemented a process or a system that does make it easier, copy and paste it. It's not something I enjoy, and it's not my core genius, and I'm not even that good at it. So I'm gonna hire someone else who's actually good at YouTube descriptions to do those for me. So all I got to do is focus on making the beats, and then I can just put the beats in a Google folder, and she'll upload it for me, and she'll handle the descriptions and the tags and all that stuff and all the little back end stuff that's necessary, but it's not fun for me. And it's important that it gets done because it helps me grow and it helps me sell my products and services. But I don't enjoy doing it, and it's tedious and time consuming. And I could probably make way more money and help way more people by sticking to my core genius. You know what I mean? Someone else can easily upload the beats for me, but only I can make the beats. You know what I'm saying? Because it's my creativity. Same thing with recording a song or whatever. Only me can write the lyrics and spit my verses. But there's someone else that's really good at engineering that could make it sound better than I could probably, and I could pay them to mix and master it and spend that extra time that I would have spent mixing and mastering doing something that generates way more income than what mixing and mastering even costs. So that's a big part of productivity, is just getting clear on what your core genius is. What are the things that only you can do, and then what are the things that you can easily delegate and hire out. And it's scary, you know what I mean? It's scary to let go of control. And I'm realizing it's not even about the money part of it. It's about, I'm scared to let go of control because what if I spend all this money and they don't do it as well as me? Or what if I spend the money and then I end up not making that much money in the meantime, and they, don't do the best job, and then I'm wasting my money or whatever. And it's you can't grow your business as an entrepreneur if you're not willing to take those risks and build those systems in place. And it's I might have to hire some people that end up not working out, but over time I'll get good at hiring the right people. I'll get time at communicating my needs to my team. I'll get better and better at choosing the right tasks to delegate and not to delegate, and figuring out who to pay for what. And if I want to scale my business, I have to figure all that out, because my business will just stagnate if I try to do everything myself. So I'm letting go of that fear, and I'm letting go of my ego wanting to control everything, thinking that only I can do this and it's better if I do it, or I'm saving money if I do it. But if you really break it down, I'm not saving money. I'm not saving money by doing my own laundry, even though I might think, okay, that would have cost me $40 to do my laundry, and I just saved myself $40 by doing it myself. No, if I could have made $400 or $800 during that time, it's actually costing me money to do my laundry, way more than it would if I paid someone else to do it. So you get my point. But let's just recap some of the things that we talked about real quick, and then I'll let you go. because I'm trying to go meditate and head up. It's really sunny today, so I'm trying to go up in these mountains and tap into some beautiful nature vibes. But I'm getting more done than ever in less time, and that's because I'm more focused, I'm more clear, and another big key that I should have mentioned earlier in this episode is I'm judging myself less than ever because I'm way, 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 way less attached to the outcome. I've fallen in love with the journey. I'm not shooting for some outcome on YouTube of like, okay, once I get to 100K subscribers, then everything's going to be set. It's like, I'm more in love with the process of growing my YouTube channel, the process of creating content, than I am in love with like the results that I get of how many new subscribers I get or how many views I get or whatever. Like, so fall in love with the journey, fall in love with the process rather than the outcome, and stop judging yourself so much. I think judgment and comparison is not only the thief of joy, it's the thief of productivity. It's when you're judging and comparing, you're robbing yourself of you're not in the zone, you're not in the flow state, you're not being super productive because you're worried about what other people are going to think, or you're worried about what the outcome is, or you're worried about what if I spend all this time and it's not good, or, and you just got to be willing to do that. Like I'd say like 90% of the songs I write never get released. And it's just because sometimes I lose faith in them, or they're not really exciting me, and I thought they were dope when I was writing it, but then, I just never felt like finishing it. And that's fine. I like the process of writing music more than I like the outcome of like how many plays I got on Spotify. And that enables me to be more productive. When I'm attached to an outcome, trying to get an end result, then I'm going to be frustrated or not in the right state to like be my highest self and really get things done. So there's a few different productivity books that I recommend. One of them is called Habits by Brian Tracy. Eat That Frog is another one I mentioned earlier. Another one is High Performance Habits by let me look up his name, Brendan Burchard. I have a hard time saying his last name. Brendan Burchard, High Performance Habits. Really good book. Has some great productivity tips in there. Another one is Getting Things Done by David Allen. That resonates with a lot of people. Certain principles in that book resonate with me. But yeah, let's just do a little quick recap. So we got to set our environment up for productivity. Let people know like when we're trying to work on stuff, and make sure your phone's on do not disturb, and set more intentions. The more intentional you are, the more your life ends up going the way you want it. Meditate more, slow down, do things properly and slowly rather than trying to rush them. When you try to rush, you end up messing up and it takes twice as long. You know what I mean? Like, I learned this really young in gym class. We used to run around, it was in middle school, we used to run around the perimeter of the gym, and we'd run around certain laps. And if the coach caught you taking shortcuts, cutting corners, then he'd make you rerun the lap again. So every time he saw you cut a corner, you had to run 2 laps for that one. So you were actually taking more than double as long by trying to take a shortcut. And just like for me, I was trying to rush to like sit down and do my journaling this morning, and for no reason. And then I spilled my coffee and tea and had to like wipe those up and remake them and whatever. Like, or if I was slow and steady, I would have actually gotten that stuff done faster because I wouldn't have made that error. Microdosing, plant medicine. I'm going to do a whole nother episode on microdosing, so I won't go too into that. But there's a lot of times I and do everything legal and check with your health advisors, doctors, whatever. I don't want to get in any legal trouble or whatever. But microdosing psilocybin is just so profound, especially when I mix it with lion's mane. And I look at all this stuff that I've been procrastinating and putting off, and I'm just like, let's fucking do this right now. I'm done waiting, and I'm just in the zone, and I'm just ready to crush it, and I feel great, and let's just do this right now. So like yesterday, microdose, or was it yesterday? It was the day before yesterday. Microdosed a bit, and I just got so much done. Like I had an overwhelming to-do list that it was almost stressing me out, but then I went and meditated and went out in nature for a little bit, and then I just sat down and just crushed them. I was just like, I'm going to do all of these. Anything that I can possibly anything that's in my power to get done right now, I am doing right now. Let's go. So that happens a lot when I microdose. I just nip it in the bud, and I'm just like, let's go. Like, I'm not gonna sit around and wait. I'm not gonna procrastinate, and I'm in a better state. I'm like, I have more clarity and focus, and I'm less fearful about the outcome, and I'm like, let's just do this. Practice laser focusing, just because like how you do one thing is how you do all things. So like when I'm brushing my teeth, or when I'm getting dressed, or when I'm doing the dishes, I just like consciously tell myself, okay, this is a chance to practice your laser focus and build up that laser focus muscle. So I just laser focus on that one thing. I get to know myself. I get to, I'm really self-aware of like when I'm most productive and when I typically end up getting things done, and I notice the patterns. Okay, anytime you've been really productive is usually right after you like got done working out and you had your coffee and you got done with this and that, and then you crush it. But I'm usually never that productive after like 8 p.m. So I just kind of, I stop working. Do not disturb mode, airplane mode, no notifications, taking social media off, getting rid of the distractions. Like I turn my phone off and put it in a drawer in a different room, because just having the phone in my hand or in my pocket distracts me. It's just so easy to pull it out and start scrolling through Instagram or looking at your texts or whatever, just because it's in your hand. And like this whole device and all the apps on it are heavily designed by the most brilliant people in the world to be as addictive as possible. So just be aware of that. Another major key is prioritizing your sleep and making sure you get good quality sleep. I'm using things like tart cherry and walnuts and things like that help me produce like tryptophan and different. I'm getting my nutrition on point to help me sleep. I'm getting the sunshine exposure first thing in the morning, doing the cold showers, doing all sorts of things to help improve my circadian rhythm, and making sure that I get into a deep quality of sleep, managing all the artificial lighting in my house and all the EMFs and electronics. And first thing in the morning, I make my bed, and my room's always nice and clean, so I have a nice, clean, safe place to go to sleep. And I'm prioritizing my sleep. Another thing I use for productivity is binaural beats and isochronic tones. These are sound healing frequencies that can help access different brainwave patterns and get you into that amazing alpha state where you can be super productive and laser focused. Some amazing resources on YouTube for that. I'm setting up my whole environment. I'm being more intentional. I'm asking myself questions like, if I could only get one of these things done today, what would that be? What would be the most important, or what would make the others easier? I'm eating that frog. I'm doing the hardest thing first so I can build up that momentum and feel like a badass. I'm doing the hard things, the uncomfortable things, rather than just like putting them off and like only doing the easy stuff. And yeah, I'm delegating anything I'm trying to work on delegating anything that's not a 10. I'm ditching things that just no longer serve me. I'm letting go of bad habits and all these things. And I'm more productive, It's like a lot of my productivity's improved because I'm not just like hanging out with people all the time. Like if they're not really driving me forward, I'm not hanging out with homies just because they hit me up. Like I have a schedule now for the most part, and I have priorities. And so if people hit me up to kick it, I'm down. But we need to throw it on the calendar, and usually it's going to be next week or the week after. Because usually if they hit me up wanting to link up this week, my week's already completely booked. You know what I mean? You can hit me up on a Tuesday and I got everything until the next Tuesday already pretty much planned out. And so and I notice all successful people do that. Like I started, I follow all these mentors and I do what they say, and I've noticed their habits and I implement it in my life, and my life keeps getting better and better because these people know what they're talking about. If someone has results in their life that you don't have, that you aspire to have, then fucking listen to them and do what they say. It might not, every single aspect of their whole life might not work perfect for you, but at least try it out and just realize like these people aren't just talking to talk, like they're kicking real serious game. So I noticed like pretty much every successful person I look up to keeps a calendar, and if you want to get on a call or a meeting with them, it's always scheduled, and then they're on point with their schedule, and they usually have an assistant or someone that like manages their schedule. So I'm working on doing that a lot more. Just yesterday my homie hit me up like, hey man, it's been a while, I want to catch up with you. would love to have you come be on my radio show. And immediately I was like, my old self would have been like, yeah, man, let's definitely link up soon. And then just left it in the air. But I said, awesome, man. I have Tuesday from noon to 4 available, and I have Wednesday from 1 to 3 available. Do either of those windows work for you? Let's throw it on the calendar. Boom. Throw it on the calendar. It's cool. I don't have to think about it again. And now I just know what I'm doing that day. It's all good. So those are just a handful of things. I know this episode's kind of been all over the place, but it's all been super valuable. These are all things that really help me be more productive. And like I said, like I'm getting way more done in way less time than I ever used to. I honestly feel like especially certain days, and I'm easy on myself. I don't take life as serious as I used to, and I'm not as hard on myself. I go with the flow. If my body needs more rest, or if my mental health needs more space and time, I don't have a problem taking my to-do lists and saying, oh, I'm going to get these all done tomorrow or the next day instead of today, because today I kind of just need a personal day or whatever. Like, that's totally fine. So I'm not as strict and hard on myself, but I'm like more driven and more excited than ever. So that's another big thing too, is just figuring out what really lights you up, and you'll be so much more productive. I think I should have mentioned this right off the bat, but one of the biggest reasons that I'm productive is because I have a compelling vision of my future that excites me so much. Like, you have no idea how excited I am to be the person that I'm becoming, and to potentially experience all the quantum possibilities that could happen in my life. I have this beautiful vision of my future. I have a beautiful vision of the impact I'm trying to make. I have strong reasons of why I'm doing all this stuff. I'm not doing a podcast and a YouTube channel and music because my ego wants to get fame and fortune and blow up. It's like, no, it's on a heart and soul level. My heart and soul is screaming at me to help the world. My heart and soul is just obsessed with adding as much value and helping as many people as I possibly can. And that's not coming from a place of like, I need the validation. Like, part of it might be the ego shadow side of it might be like seeking love and validation, but the deeper heart and soul part of it is seeking to serve. It wants to live. I want to live out my mission. I want to live out my purpose. And I'm so excited by that vision that it's hard not to be productive. It's hard not to just wake up and want to seize the day, because I'm stoked on where I'm going. I'm stoked on what's possible. And a lot of that's come from following all these successful people that I look up to and just seeing what's possible. Like, look at all these people that are just super healthy, traveling the world, making tons of money, helping tons of people. They have amazing relationships, amazing friendships, amazing families. They're just glowing, and I'm just like, I want that for me. Look at there's millions of people living that reality. I'm going to live that reality too. Let's go. So I'm going to wake up every day and just do everything that I can possibly think of to be on that vibration and to live on that frequency, because it's beautiful and I love this planet. So like, I think that's deep down where most of my productivity comes from. Is all these strategies are really, 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 really helpful. Everything I shared is going to help make you more productive, but none of it's going to really work that much unless you have an exciting vision and you really fall in love with life. I just love this planet. I love myself. I love the opportunities that are before me, and I want to seize them. I want to live it to the fullest, yo. The idea of settling for a mediocre life, I'd rather die. I have no interest in being mediocre. I have no interest in being average. I have no interest in my life being mundane, and I just want to be extraordinary on all levels. And I'm so excited about that I just wake up every day and it's easy for me to prioritize what I should spend my energy towards and what I shouldn't. So that's kind of I might do a part 2 on this episode, because we could dive deeper into some of these things. So if you end up liking this, shoot me a little message and we can dive deeper on it. But I know everything I shared with you today is going to help you unleash a whole new level of productivity in your life if you actually implement these things. So hopefully you took some notes. Go back and re-listen. Like, repetition is the mother of learning. All the podcast episodes and audiobooks and physical books and things like that have impacted my life the most are things that I have consumed multiple times. So the books that have helped me the most, I've read like 8 times each. The YouTube videos that helped me the most, I've watched like a dozen times each. So anytime you get value from these episodes, save it on your phone and go back and listen to it again. Maybe in 2 weeks from now, you listen to it and you catch something that you missed this time because you're in a different headspace. And like I always say, that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So there's podcasts that I listened to 2 years ago that I really liked. And then I re-listened to them now, and I'm like, oh my God, I just got the biggest aha moment. That was exactly what I needed to hear. 2 years ago, I wasn't ready to hear that message, so I heard them say that, but I didn't really hear them say that. Like, it didn't really hit me until I was in the right space for it to hit me, and then now, like, it makes a profound impact on my whole being. So, yeah, that's my episode on productivity. Get out there and seize the day. I love you so much. Huge shout out to the Gratitude Gang, all the Patreon supporters. You guys are just lighting my heart on fire. Some of your guys' cards weren't going through for some reason this month, so you might want to check those. If you are a Patreon supporter and want to continue to support, just double check and make sure that your card is not expired or whatever, and that you got the funds in there. And if you ever need to drop off for a month or two or lower your amount, that's totally chill. And if you're doing well and you're thriving and you're getting value from these episodes, then feel free to increase that amount. I'll welcome that too. So, but either way, I just love you guys so much. Really appreciate you guys supporting this message, helping me impact more people. Shout out to our sponsor, Rasa. You can check them out at wearerasa.com. That's WEARERASA. wearerasa.com. Use promo code Burnell. Save yourself 15% off any of their products. They have the most amazing adaptogenic herb beverages, coffee alternatives if you're trying to check your relationship with caffeine, or you just want to, you're balancing out from some adrenal fatigue and burnout, and you just want to balance your hormones and feel super healthy. Definitely check it out. The link is in the show notes as well, or you can just DM me and say, yo, man, let me check out that Rasa, and I'll send you the link to that, and you can use the promo code Burnell, BURNELL, for 15% off. Rasa's the truth. But you guys are the truth of all truth for listening, especially if you're listening this far in. You're a kindred spirit on the path. I love you. I applaud you. Thank you for investing this time into yourself, into your mindset, into your well-being. These episodes are going to continue to get better and better. And, we just keep growing every month. So I can't thank you guys enough for your support. Even if you do it every week, I can't express how much it means to me when you guys screenshot these and you put it on your IG story, because then I can repost it so easily, and it shows that social proof that's needed for the marketing, because I don't run ads or anything, and all the marketing comes from people like you spreading the word and telling your homies. And if you're getting value from it, the people you love will get value from it too. So thank you so much for listening. I absolutely love you from the bottom of my heart and soul. You're beautiful, human. You are so powerful. You can be, do, and have anything on this gorgeous planet. Anything is possible. You are a walking miracle. Notice all the blessings around you. Keep milking the magic, soaking up the beauty of life. Go create an amazing rest of your day. And I'll see you very soon on another episode. Or maybe even in person at one of my shows. Come give me a hug. Say what up. I love you. I'll see you soon. Peace and blessings.